privilege of being an ARC reader for 6 Feet Under by Alice Nang. I was warned about the trigger warnings before starting the story, though I can't remember if I was warned about this being part of a series and this being book 3. I had not read the previous 2 books. I liked the character details before the story started, giving enough to lure in the reader while enough to cover the reasons why the characters are the way they are. First of all, excuse me if any of this is incoherent. I started reading this at 10 p.m. after a long day and tried taking notes as I went. Within the first 4%, I was lured into this story by Courtney. Her opening was quite powerful. I have a thing for mafia daughters who refuse to play by the rules, and Courtney certainly caught my attention. When Oscar's first chapter started, I felt underwhelmed. He wasn't pulling me in like Courtney had. By the 15% mark, I was getting really restless with Oscar. I was really struggling to see how anti-mafia daughter fitted into Oscar's throuble plans. I know it's shown, but honestly, I felt more invested in the fuck my dad, fuck the mafia, let's cause chaos woman, rather than a man who strokes his own, self. I found it an interesting choice of words that the author chose to use the word beat as pause instead of just choosing pause. I'm glad I was taught that beat could mean pause, otherwise I would have been questioning why use beat. By the 23% mark, I tried to understand the purpose of the mafia storyline. To me, it felt like the Dom Brat dating storyline wanted to take over. Maybe the mafia outline should have been scrapped and gone straight into the BDSM route. Unfortunately, by the 25% mark, the story starts to seem repetitive. 3 characters, each giving their own perspective on the same matter, gets a bit tiring to read after a while. I feel like the smut and the mafia storyline are 2 different stories. I know they overlap, but separately, the storylines work, but together, it feels like they're clashing for a reader's attention. When I got to the 43% mark, I started to realize this story reads more like a diary rather than a work of fiction. Almost like the author of the journal had chosen to share their own personal thoughts rather than try and mask this as a typical book. By author, I mean characters, not Alice Nang. I feel like some pieces of information were just shoved into the story. I understand the need to add the mafia element. I understand the need to add the spice. But I feel like the other business ventures weren't really needed, such as Oscar Hunn's industries and his connection to the other characters. Not gonna lie, I struggled to keep count of all the other characters. I could follow along with Courtney, Cece, and Oscar, but throwing other characters in felt like they were losing me. Okay, I've never given birth, so I don't know how accurate it is, but I have had the unfortunate experience of being a birthing partner. But since when do epidurals knock people out? I thought they were just supposed to ease pain during birth, not put them to sleep. When I got to the last 10% of the story, it felt like it was just recapping everything all over again. It made me feel like that the middle part of the book wasn't needed. I wish Alice Nang the best of luck with their writing career, but they're not an author for me.